Um, we're back. Excuse me. We're back on my alt plot, celery. Yesterday we enjoyed some house tours on Exile site. Man, I can't talk this morning. And we're back here to work on my little side project of putting together a bingo hall. So when we last left it, we had installed the bingo colors board on his console here, and included a method that he would access the balls via the ball hopper, where they all are kind of just jumbling with some air, and every now and then one will go boop, right at the little chute there and pop out here. It pulls it out and then he pushes it into the little collar board. And in theory, or in practice, in an actual game, when they punch it into here, it lights up on the big board so that your players, while they're sitting down here, can see what's been called, what hasn't been called, the pattern they're looking for, and so on and so forth. So today we're going to work on replicating this design here on the big screen up here. We're essentially going to put this, if I planned it correctly or I've thought it out enough, it will go across the two here. Whether that's actually the case or not, you'll find out eventually. But so we're going to need a lot of wooden 2x4s. I gotta do the reload UI first. I always forget to do that. When you're on your own plot or you've been visiting other people's plots and then you go to a plot that you're roommated on, generally speaking, it's not always the case, but generally speaking, you have to do a reload UI. Otherwise, the controls and things doesn't recognize your permissions to manipulating things. So that's why I have to do a reload all the time. Okay, so we're gonna put in some wooden 2x4. We got a couple already, and we're just gonna pop this out here. And yeah, those were at 0.75. I think we might be able to get away with leaving these at their normal size. We'll have a look to see how thick they are. You want it to, you know, be clear enough to be visible or whatever. But I don't want it to be so thick and clunky that it just looks messy, or however you want to say that. Now again, we'll need the 5 divisions. The traditional bingo is BINGO, so you have to have a row for each letter, BINGO, and that means 5. Or, you know, 4 dividers, but it leaves you 5 columns or rows. So we're just gonna stick this in here. And I know I could use Katya's clone tool, but it always, at least my experience so far, is it always clones it behind the object that you're wanting to move, and I don't want to get anything lost inside this wall in case there's an offset involved, so I'm just going to do it the old-fashioned way. Probably blasphemy now that we have the tool available, but I have to live with it. That's the way I'm going to do it. I'm mostly just getting the four dividers out, and then we'll adjust the spacing as necessary. Now with this one here, I wasn't too concerned about going all the way to the edge for the columns and such, but here I might be a little bit more attentive to that. Not necessarily, but if I can leave room, excuse me, for some trim or whatever, I'll see about doing it. I don't think it's going to work out that way, but excuse me. Mornings, it's probably not the best time to do a stream because I'm just waking up and not a good time for the throat and everything. Okay, now again with Katya's add-on, you could probably calculate the exact center and position these a little more equally, but I'm just going to eyeball it. Again, this facility isn't actually going to be used, so while I want it to look presentable, I'm not too terribly concerned about full-on accuracy. As long as it looks decent, we'll go with it. Just getting kind of getting a good eyeball, like the roughly equally split. So you got the BINGO rows there. Looks like these need to be over just a bit to meet up with this divider line here. I'm going to do that real quick. And then we'll start extending it out to cover the whole thing. Okay, so drag these out and a little closer shot so we can see where it kind of meets up with its buddy there. Let's see, where is that? 971. And for those of you that haven't been following, a good place to get some current information on the WildStar forums is by checking out Twitter. We've got some links to some information about what's going on with that. Apparently there was a security breach, they shut it down, and they're having to re-roll it, roll it back a little bit, so there may be some lost information. That could include people that's posted guides, topic threads about recent things going on. I don't know how much of that will be affected. For me, I've updated a few threads, but I kind of, for the most part, tend to update things offline as well in my documents pages. And so I think I'll be able to re-update things pretty easy. But for those that are gonna find it a little tough. That would be my advice. If you do any kind of guide or informative posts, always have them on hand off-site in a Word document or whatever, however you want to do it, just in case, because it's a pretty big setback when you lose that information if you got it all nicely formatted and all the links and things that you need, and then it suddenly goes bye-bye. I kind of got in the habit of that from way back when we had a similar incident with another group that I posted with pretty regularly. They had something similar happen, and we lost a lot of information, and at that time I hadn't been kind of like backing up my files and stuff, so it was a real pain to try and kind of recall what I had already posted. So for those especially that do like helpful guides, that would be a very good idea to kind of have that material in another place just in case something goes wonky with it. And then you can just quickly retrieve it. It may not be, you know, like up to date, but at least you don't lose everything. You don't have to start from scratch. Like she's being punished facing the chalkboard there. Not that that's a chalkboard, but it could be. I've seen people use that in classrooms, chalkboard use, and what have you. Hopefully they get the forums back up, and I do miss them because while, like I said, I don't post a whole terrible lot, I do use it as a way to kind of keep up on the latest things going on. Obviously I tend to stick around more in the housing area, pick out some of like the bug issues and like the general topics and stuff, but I know a lot of people rely on like class guides and things that they find there, or at least links to guides elsewhere, and having that information kind of not available for so long is pretty bad. A big inconvenience, especially for a lot of the new players that have been coming in. Now they don't have a way of, you know, asking questions. I know that there's Reddit and Twitter and Facebook and stuff that they could still reach out to people, but it's not as handy, I guess. Hopefully some of those players have managed to find guilds that they were able to connect with and can use their guild forums as an alternative way of getting information. Okay. Coming down to the last few here. Yeah, I wasn't sure I was going to go ahead and follow through on hopping on to the Twitch today because I'm feeling a little nervous about my doctor visit. Just kind of a just to be safe kind of checkup, but just to cover all the bases, but I've not had entirely pleasant experiences with doctor visits. Usually it's like they'll go in and they can't tell me what might be wrong, and then, well, let's try this test and that test, and you go through a year or two of needle poking and everything, and it's just a bit of a drain. And so whenever I go to the doctor now, whatever it is for, whether it be for the dermatologist or dentist or whatever, I have like a little bit of anxiety towards it because I don't know what to expect. Okay, now do I just leave that like that? And no, I don't think that's so I think what I'll do is I'll pull this all across here. Just see if we can link these up and have them very convenient to have that right in. See if we can get this to move to the end, and then we'll do any kind of correcting that we want to do on this side. If I had been thinking, I would have started on this end first, but no, clearly I'm not thinking, so. I'm gonna go ahead and bring it to the edge. I know I said I wasn't going to, but just for simplicity's sake, we'll do that. Okay, so we need to do the same thing with these others. And hopefully they all go smoothly. I'm not always very confident with the linking tool because I have had it like explode the set of items that I'm trying to move in one piece. It'll just kind of like half of it disappears and reappears on another side of the plot, and that just leads to other types of headaches. Sometimes, depending on how you've got it oriented, it can kind of make it go a little badly as well. Seems to be working fairly okay this morning though, so that is good. Okay, so got those moved over. Now we need to do probably one extra here, and it might work out to the benefit of us because we want to put the letters here anyway, and they're going to need their little divider as well. So copy, paste, and probably not that much. I'm reducing the size of this one just a smidge to help it not do that flickering business. And I'm guessing about how far out I need it to be to have the letter set in there. Put it there. So we'll do that again for this one. Then we need 3 more like that. We're obviously going to need some more because it's still got to do the column divisions, but one step at a time. Whatever. Get ahead of myself here. What did I say? I need 2 more of those. Okay, so now we need the vertical dividers. And I think it worked up to be, how many was that? $15 of those. Yeah, it was 15. Counting this, so let's see. Is this like 15 numbers across each row? So, excuse me. Let's just grab a bunch of, pardon me, really bad. Grab a few and put them out here and start tinkering around. We're probably going to need more than that because it takes more than one to cover this entire space, but let's start somewhere. Let's copy it. Looks like we'll get away with using 2. Good. I'm going to ignore the flickering bit. If it becomes an issue, then we'll just adjust by either, we'll just do that here. Until I'm gonna see it and be annoyed by it. So it's just a slight difference in size. I don't think it'll be much of an issue. Same with these. It's just to get it to not do that flickering thing. Okay, so I know for sure I want this divider here because this is where the letters will be. And then we need the 15 spaces for the numbers. So we'll just start putting these in, kind of just spacing them out. It's not going to be exact yet. It's not going to be exact anyway, but we'll kind of line them up a little better after we get them all in. I do want to try and, if I can, get one to land there. That'll help cover up that midline. Dump them all out here. Again, I could probably use Katya's deal, the copy clone tool, but again, I don't want to lose anything inside the wall, so I'm just chickening out on that today. If it was just a straight wall and not things layered on top of other things, then I probably would be more inclined to use it, but probably what I get for not using it. I'm gonna cooperate. I have been thinking more seriously about scratching up my mains house plot, scrapping it, creating it all. I still don't know when I will do that for sure, but I'm getting a bit more firmer idea of what I want to try to accomplish with it in the coming months, and so it could be close. It's a theme that other people have worked on in the past or still have, but it's one that I haven't attempted so far, so I thought probably to give it a try. I don't know if these are really going to line up the way I want. I'm just going to spreading them out kinda like they need to be. Then we'll count the spaces to make sure I got my math right. And then we'll spread them out a little better. Okay, so we should have 15 squares. 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, 14, so we need an extra one. Probably why they're happy. See, it's a good thing I check. I am so bad at, whoops, I closed it. And probably as soon as I place it, I'm going to count it again, just to be sure, because I'm really awful at this. So that's where the letters will be, so the numbers will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, so we've got the right amount of squares, we just need to even it up a bit. Something like that on that side. Those look bigger and those look smaller, so it's probably, I'm not going to be able to keep this on that line. It's kind of messing me up on the divider, I think. Since that's in the middle, it'll probably be smack. Let's try it this way. It'll just be a thing. Again, I'm not doing any kind of measuring, I'm just eyeballing it, kind of deciding, well, it should be about this size and going with it from there. For those of you that are really more inclined to getting it more precise and, you know, sized correctly or evenly, hey, more power to you. I'm sure those builders could give you some secrets about, you know, the easiest way to get the accurate, whether they use the chords as a guide or what. For me, it's just clearly eyeballing it. I am not really getting too fancy with it. Okay, I think that looks alright. There may be some that's a little size a little bigger than they probably should be. These still look a little smaller compared to the other side. Not too horribly bad, I guess. I'm sure if I counted the slots, it probably isn't even, but well, I'm not going to be too particular about it. So now we'll finish this up with the dividers on the bottom half, and we'll need to remember to resize them so that they don't do the flicker thing. I don't know if I grabbed enough, but we'll see. Okay, so since this one's already sized, we'll have to copy and drag it over. It's handy. I might better just might better do that a different way. Let's see. Ooh. That way I know it's good and lined up that way. I say I'm not too particular, but then I do things like that and it's a little particular. Contradict myself. Oops. 82 at 92. There we go. Almost forgot what I was doing there. Okay, so it's almost to the halfway point. Getting there. And then we have to figure out how we're going to mark these. Like I said, we don't have actual numbers. It would be really handy if we had like an alphabet and then a 0 to 9 kind of numbering decal, decor, or whatever you want to call it. Then folks could spell out things. I know there would be the thing of people probably spelling foul language and things like that, but they already do that now. I've come across many plots that folks would consider offensive and some of the things that they have on there, but I really don't think that's a strong argument against giving us letters and things like that. Of course, I know if you want to keep it kind of WildStar-ish, their letters are a little foreign looking, you know, alien letters. But I just think it would be helpful for those of us that set up things like this, or maybe they want to have like an actual address on their house, or they want to spell out the name of the restaurant on the side, or bar name, or whatever it is. I mean, I know it's up here too, but it kind of breaks the mood if you can't do that on I mean, especially for those that have like towns, little cities and stuff, be able to actually name those places. And some do that with like using the 2x4s and other materials to form their letters and stuff. But it would just be so much easier if Carbine would provide us with a straight up method of being able to use numbers and letters as we know them. Then, you know, our little problem here would be solved. But I think what we'll end up doing is to represent kind of like the letters are being lit up, we'll just use some probably the orange floor squares and place them inside to kind of like light it up that way, without actually having the letter or number on it. Did I resize that one? No, I didn't. Yeah, did that one. Okay. It's just the one. That's what I get for talking while I'm doing. But, you know, I hate the long silences, and I don't know, it just feels like an awkward thing. Yeah, I've really been giving some extra and more solid thought about what I'd like to do with my main plot, because generally speaking, especially if I'm streaming as I build, the build time kind of really strings out over a longer period of time. If it's just me on my plot by myself, nobody's watching, and I'm just, you know, knocking away at it for an uninterrupted kind of brainless zombie-like performance, then I could probably knock out a full plot of stuff, you know, not to brag, but within, you know, 2 to 3 weeks I could probably put something together if that's all I'm working on and I'm not really focusing on anything else. But when I'm building on the plot and talking at the same time and interacting with any viewers that might happen to be around, that kind of slows me down. So with the project that I have in mind, I kind of have an idea of the theme already, so I kind of want to, you know, match it up with whenever I would like to have it out, you know. I don't know if I'm making sense, but if I know it's going to take me a couple of months to build it, then I want to give myself plenty of time to do that in the time that I need, so that when I'm done, it won't be like irrelevant when it's done. Does that make sense? I don't know if I'm making any sense, but anyway, so I'm thinking of giving myself at least a couple of months to work on it. I don't want to rush myself. That's a very important thing. Because I'm sure there's going to be items that I don't have on hand that I will have to either get off of the auction house or grind up myself, either through doing a lot of dungeon tours or something like that, to try and get those items myself. Because maybe it's a bind on pickup kind of thing and you just can't access it or obtain it any other way. And that takes time, and if I'm spending a lot of my time, doing the building, that doesn't leave a whole lot for other, especially if, for some players, that kind of stuff is pretty limited. Maybe they only have a few hours each day to play anyway, and if they spend it all in, doing dungeoning, then that doesn't leave much for anything else. And so I don't want to pressure myself with a too tight of a deadline kind of thing. In truth, there's really not a deadline because, where am I? I could, in theory, take as long as I want, but like I said, if I have a specific thing that I want to have available at a certain time of the year, like if I'm going to do a holiday like Christmas kind of theme, I want to make sure that by the time I am done with it, it's not Christmas hasn't already passed, because then it's kind of like, I don't want to leave it for the entire year until the next Christmas comes around, that kind of thing. So I know a lot of people don't like to plan that far ahead, but like say you are planning on doing like a winter kind of theme and you want it to be ready for the winter months, November, December, that kind of thing, then you need to really be thinking about what you're going to do and either at least be collecting the materials that you need now, or already start work on it, because if it takes you several months to do that, if you wait till the month of December to start working on a winter holiday plot, then you may not finish in time before everybody can see it and celebrate for the Christmas season, if that makes sense. So I just want to make sure if I'm going to change it up and match it to something to do with the holidays, then I want to give myself plenty of time to be able to finish it in time for that season. And like I said, if you've got limited time to collect those things, then it's even more important that you start soon and not wait. It's just like a lot of people wait until they announce like the what is it? The housing contest on Entity. I forget off the top of my head what the name of it is. Like Lifestyles, WildStar or something. A lot of people will wait till something like that pops before they start building, and that can be good and bad, and there's pros and cons to that. The big con for that is you have a very short time to build. I know that I think Entity usually announces theirs and they give you like, I think it's a month. Just submit your entry. For most people that might be a good amount of time, but like I said, for those that have limited time, they can't play on the weekends, they have work through the weekday, so they only have those evening hours to kind of squeeze it all in. And if they've got other things going on besides just the housing, that can be a pretty big pressure for them. But if you already know that those contests are pretty regular and maybe you missed the last one. Hey Grifter, if you missed the last one, then you can think, okay, well, I'm going to come up with a theme and I'll build it in preparation for the one that comes next. And the downside to that is maybe they don't hold it as immediate as you think they will, and you have to kind of hang on to the plot for 3 or 4 months before they come up with the next one. But I would be much, more at ease if I'm prepared ahead of time than having to rush and think, oh my god, I only got 3 weeks to do this kind of thing. Okay, so I think we've got the grid laid out pretty good now, and I may go ahead and put some trim on here just to kind of clean that up a little bit. We'll look at that later. First, I think we'll see about how we're going to represent which ones are lit up. And as I said before, I think it'll be the easiest. The closest that we have to white, a white square, is the orange floor itself. So let's see if I have a spare floor to play around with, and it looks like I do. And let's see, the one we had here was 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, so this was B, because that's where the letters would be here. B2 is in theory called. So it would be this square here that we want to light up. So I'm going to take off the advanced mode so it's even with the lays flat on the poster back here. And then we'll just reduce that down till it looks like it might fit nicely. This will be where we notice that the squares aren't even, because I won't be able to use the same size orange floor all the way across. And yes, Grifter, it's a bingo hall. It's kind of just a goofy thing, a side project I'm doing. It's not actually going to be used by anybody. It just got me, I got into the mood to build it because I'm doing a kind of a bingo event for my guild. Starting this weekend, we'll be doing a bingo night every Saturday in August. It's kind of a alternative activity, and I thought, well, hey, could somebody build a bingo hall if someone else wanted to actually role play that they're at a bingo hall kind of thing. So I took it upon myself. I said, I'm up for the challenge, I'll give it a try. But the activity that I'm doing for my guild, we're just doing that in a special chat room. It's not the guild chat, it's just the channel that I'm going to set up for it exclusively. And I'll be calling out, it's summer themed, so it's going to be phrases and stuff like sunscreen and sunburn and beach and things like that. But I wanted an activity that didn't require a specific level, because when you do a housing activity, already you're limiting who all can participate, because they have to be a minimum of level 14 to have access to housing. So that's kind of cruel sometimes. And if you do a kind of like screenshot challenge, a lot of times that's specific to different zones that maybe not everybody has access to. So I wanted to make it something everybody can participate in if they want to. So they're not required to go to any place, they're not required to be a certain level or be in the guild a certain amount of time or anything like that. Anybody can join as long as they pick a card and listen to the channel that we'll be setting up. But like I said, it got me to thinking, what if I did set up a bingo hall? How well or easily could I do that to make it look like it's an actual bingo hall kind of color board? So this is what I have so far. I got the ball hopper and the little board for the collar, his panel, and then we're working on the giant one for the players. So there we have the B2 is lit up. What's the other one we've got here? Was that B13? Lucky 13? Ah, thanks. You know, I at first was thinking about making the actual hopper that you twirl, and I thought, well, that's kind of old-fashioned. That's really reaching back, showing my age there, that I remember them having those little wire cages that they twirl around and people can watch the balls bouncing around. Before I left the States, I remember going to a bingo hall, and they had it. It was just a jet of air that scrambles it around, and I figured that'd be something that you'd probably see in WildStar. Maybe WildStars is, you know, just little zap things that generate out of thin air, but you know, I wanted something recognizable, so we went with the air hopper. Okay, so we want B13 lit up over here, just to kind of keep the two matching. Well then, good. I don't feel so bad for remembering what that was. It's just like I was talking yesterday that I remember the old cards where it was like a weird little wooden card where you had the slider windows that were red, and that's how you light it up. And then they got to the daubers where you daub everything, and now it's electronic. They give you this, looks like a hunky tablet, and that's how you mark your cards. A sign of the times, I guess. I'm sure it's changed by now even. I'm talking 15 years ago, so I'm sure it's upgraded even more. Like I said, these squares aren't going to be the same because my faces are uneven. There we go. There's that. Yeah, I kind of grew up. My mom was a bingo fan, and back then we didn't have, you know, internet as prolific as it is now. I don't even think we had a computer at the time. You know, nowadays it's kind of unusual for a family home to not have a computer, at least one. We have 3, so that tells you anything. But back in my day, we had to do other things for entertainment. Especially when I was younger, we just did whatever my folks did, and my folks, they were bingo fans. So I would go with my mom, and I would help her watch her cards, and then eventually I got to where I was allowed my own, and you know, I felt really big and special about that. But yeah, I remember the smells. That was back when it was not taboo to smoke in a public place, so there was always cigarette smoke galore. It was like a cloud hanging above everybody, and it was mostly elderly folks. I mean, there was folks younger to match my parents' age, and there were kids my age too, but I think probably 2/3 of the players were elderly, you know, spending their Social Security checks or whatever on the bingo. But I definitely remember lots of cigarette smoke and the smell of popcorn, because they would always have like some kind of a snack bar, and popcorn was a particular fave. So yeah, strange things to remember, but yeah, the ink stamps are okay, but they're messy. Especially you get some of those people that really press on it and just kind of get it all like a juicy wet pile of ink, and then when they're moving your hand across, they get it all over the place, and it's just messy. I prefer the sliders as well, but that's like the really old style. Um, uh, but yeah, I like the game. I enjoy the game. Most people that I like, my family and stuff, most of them tend to find it boring. But you know, it's just I don't know, it's not a harmless way of gambling, but it's a form of gambling. It's kind of like, you know, when you need just the one number and you know you see it bouncing around in the hopper and you're just waiting for it to pop, and you know, then when they call it, you're like, oh, and you just kind of freak out. It's just a fun thing for me, but they don't have it over here that I've discovered. If they do, it's kind of in the back alleys, because if they did, I probably would be going there and freaking out. Let's see, this is I 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I6. I know that's not the number, but it's how many I'm counting over. So I 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So right here. Copy this one since it's closer. It's funny that you mentioned that, because I've been considering setting up a Christmas one for my family. It's just a small group of us. It's basically 5. It's myself, my son, my husband, and then his parents. And I always try to jazz up our Christmas holiday. Traditionally, all they would do was get together, have a meal, and that'd be it. But for me, when I was growing up, we always, you know, maybe watched Christmas movies, or you know, listened to Christmas music, that kind of thing. Just kind of spend the whole day kind of celebrating, and they didn't really do that until I come over here. And so they've just kind of given me free reign to set up the holiday event for Christmas. So I do like those minute to win it games, and where like you have to stack things, you know, in so long, and the paper cups and things like that, and they have a blast with it. So I think I'm gonna set up a Christmas version of bingo to entertain them. I've been playing WildStar since beta, so it's been well over a year now. Probably a lot longer than that, because I can't remember how long it was in beta, but yeah, I've been here. I'm like an old piece of furniture that's just kind of sitting there. Let's see, in 7, 8, 9 slots over. Yeah, I've seen WildStar kind of evolve from its original. I was here when we had the limit of 300 decor for the housing, and was amazed. That's really what got me hooked. You know, when I first started, I was kind of like a lot of other people, just put down the furniture as it comes, and I didn't really custom build anything. And then I started seeing what other people were doing, and I was like totally amazed, and it just hooked me from there. Well, their dungeons and stuff, I don't know what instance you're talking about, whether it be ship hands or the dungeons and stuff, but I've played WoW, I guess it's going on 8 or 9 years now. I still play it, in fact. And I basically had to kind of, I know it's a really bad thing to admit, but I was a clicker. I clicked all my spells, you know, individually. I would just mouse over it and click, and I moved with my arrow keys. And it's really not an efficient way of playing, but that's how I learned how to play. I mean, I didn't like have somebody that was a gamer that showed me this is the way you need to do it. Use your keybinds and all kinds of things. I didn't even know what those were for many years. So I developed really bad habits as far as what I used to hit my spells and everything. And so for like 6-7 years, I did it that way. That's how I played. I rated and everything, you know, I did okay. I guess no one really complained. Partly because I think I'm one of those people that, while I might not really pull the big DPS, I'm pretty good at picking up on tactics and have good survivability kind of thing. So while I did, you know, mediocre DPS, I survived a lot longer than some of the top ones, and still got to contribute. Anyway, when I got the beta for WildStar, I decided I would start fresh and learn the right way to play. And I had my son, he's a gamer too, so he had long been trying to get me to break away from the point and click kind of method and actually using keybinds for my spells and stuff. So now I even probably do it different than a lot of people now, but for me it's a lot easier. I have all my movement on my mouse, and my keyboard is on the left hand, and that's what I use for my spells and everything. And I don't have to look, I just kind of remember what keys do what, and so I think it's kind of improved things, sort of. But the result of that is I had to change the way I play in WoW, because it was awkward to go between the two ways. Plus the fact that I kept trying to, you know, sprint in WoW and double jump, and so since I kind of play similar characters for both games, I'm a stalker in WildStar and I'm a rogue in WoW, I've got my keybinds kind of set up similarly for just ease of being able to switch from both games back and forth, so I don't kind of freak out when I don't have such a big learning curve to remember how I play each character. But when I first started playing WildStar, I found the instances pretty crazy because there was so much movement involved. You know, in WoW you were kind of used to just standing in one place and hitting something and only having to move at certain points. And in WildStar you basically just have to move all the time, constantly. And that's why, one of the reasons why I really had to change the way I played, because the way I played before just didn't really allow for that, to do it smoothly, for me at least. And now when I'm fighting, I'm moving even when I don't have to. I'm moving all over the place. But once you get used to that and you practice at it and everything, it becomes kind of second nature. And they've really improved as well on teaching new players, not just new to MMOs, but new to the game itself, even if you've done WoW and Rift and Guild Wars and all that. They have incorporated new learning dungeons via Protostar that kind of guide you into learning how to do the dodging and the moment of opportunity kind of stuns and things like that. And it's just a lot better how they wean you into it than before, when it was like, you know, you learn a little bit of basics and then suddenly you're thrown into a dungeon and it's like, you just kind of panic. Yes, I did use add-ons in WoW, but mostly it was just like random mount add-on, and I didn't like. I do use the Omen thing, the one where it shows you if you have too high a threat, just so that I can know I can kind of like fade and get that off of me and put it on the tank. I don't use damage meters or anything. I don't really pay attention to that. And I use the the DBM, the boss mods thing, just to kind of help with alerting me when there's so many things going on. I know there's such things like that for WildStar, but I don't really use those. The only thing on WildStar that I use is, well, I use Katya's housing add-on. I've got a few visitor add-ons that I was using that I don't use anymore now that they've got the specific name already built in. Let's see, I was using Kilroy for roleplay stuff and a few other things, but it's not anything really specific to do with performance, like class related kind of stuff. It's mostly just quality of life junk. But like, I don't use any kind of special UI. I've just got the basic both here and in WoW. I just use the as it comes. Let's see, and yes, I have played Guild Wars 2. I did that for several months. It was okay. It was just I kind of had some bad issues with a guild I joined there, and it kind of just turned things sour. And it wasn't long after that that I discovered WildStar, and I said, I just won't go back. I'll start fresh here and go with it. And I haven't missed it, so it was probably the best decision. Yeah, I'm not completely against add-ons, but I try to keep it minimal as to how many I use. Because like I said, I'm not one of those that does like number crunchings. I don't min-max my gear. If it looks like an upgrade, then I use it. I have real troubles, like if it's like just like a plus minus a few things here and there. I have trouble going, well, which one's better? Usually asking guildmates, does this look better than that or something, you know? Or like when we do raiding and something drops and I'll go, well, this is what I have. I have no idea if this is an upgrade or not. And they'll tell me. Because I'm just kind of ditzy on that stuff. I don't really watch, I don't go to the dummies, the practice dummies, and, you know, try my rotation or anything, or constantly modifying my LAS or anything to squeeze out every little DPS point I can. I'm probably the worst player ever. I just play to have fun. If it becomes more like I'm doing like a job, I'm calculating a lot and spending so much time for that, then it's not fun anymore for me. So I steer clear of really getting into that. Yeah, Mr. Robot, I did check that out a little bit, but half the time I didn't understand what the heck they were talking about. So again, it wasn't like a top priority for me. Let's see, was that the last one? No, second one. I'll have to check and make sure I'm putting this in the right spot. Okay, I think those are in the right location, sort of. If not, oh well, someone will point it out to me. Okay, so let's see about framing this up. It's gonna bug me that that's just kind of out like that. I don't know, maybe it won't. I'm lazy this morning because I had that doctor visit in the back of my head, and I'm still stressing about that, even though I'm doing my best trying to distract myself. The graphics that I use around the screen and those that I have on my channel page, those I made in PaintShop Pro 8. It's like the ugly stepchild or stepsister of Photoshop, so if you have that, definitely use that. It's a much better program. There's more bells and whistles to it, but I've used PaintShop Pro 8 for signature making and forum banners and things. And while there's a lot of things it doesn't have that Photoshop does, you still get a relatively good quality item. So that's what I use. But I appreciate you dropping in, and if you care to look at any of the older videos, they're all archived there on my channel page and on YouTube, if you want to have a look. Usually on days like this, it's just me goofing around with whatever I happen to be working on, but on Wednesdays we do house tours for both factions on Jabbit Realm. So if that interests you, if you don't have access to Jabbit, then definitely check those out, because it's a good chance for people that are on Entity or something that can't hop on Jabbit to see some of those from the other side. But yeah, I just I wanted something that doesn't look too cartoony, but looked somewhat professional. I'm new to the streaming bit. I only started a few months ago, so I'm sure there's others that do it much more professionally, and have their way of doing it. Mine's more just kind of laid back, and it's all to do with housing. I don't do any kind of gameplay. I did in the beginning at first, and then I thought, no, nobody wants to watch me play, because I'm really lousy at it, and it sounds like I'm just rolling my face across the keyboard when I'm clicking on it. And I said I want to do a stream that about something that I'm passionate about, and housing is definitely something I'm pretty passionate about. I'm all the time talking about it, even to my husband, who could care less. Yes, I do use OBS. It took a little bit to kind of figure out how to do the different screens, because I have one like for when I'm about to start my stream on Wednesdays for the house tours. I have a little graphic that I put up right at the beginning, and I use a different one. Sometimes I use the gaming stream, where it shows Darcy on the side, and sometimes I use just the regular one. It just depends on my mood. But it took a little practice trying to tweak it so that I knew how to set it up properly, because in the beginning I think I was doing like monitor capture, which, like, if I closed the game, then it would show whatever was on my actual computer desktop, and I didn't really want that. I just wanted the game footage, and I had to kind of figure out how to do that. But yeah, it's been a really good tool, and it's free, so it didn't cost me anything to get involved in it. The only thing that probably cost me when I first got into the streaming was I did upgrade my camera, because in the beginning I kind of looked like Smurfette. I was tinted blue most of the time, just because the camera didn't adjust to the lighting. Sometimes it's a little darker in the room, or it's a little brighter, and it didn't adjust very well, and it was not compatible with the Windows version that I have on my computer, so it kind of didn't really work very good. And of course the microphone that I did have before picked up everything, and so there was a constant kind of noise. Hopefully that's all remedied now. I haven't had any, too many complaints about that. There's been a few that'll say I'm not loud enough and things like that, but I think that's more on their end than it is mine, because generally speaking most people say it sounds okay. But for, like I said, my son is a gamer, and he had been talking about how he wanted to get into streaming, and me being kind of a in-your-face parent, I decided to see what it was all about, to see how difficult it was to get into it, and what all materials he might need and that kind of stuff, so that when it comes time that he gets into it, I can help him or give him advice or tell him the problems I encountered, how I fixed them, that kind of thing. The mic I use is just the built-in one for the webcam that I have, which is a Logitech one. I don't know the brand or number or anything. My husband's the one that set that up, so but it's one of those that autofocuses for you, so if you have like something up close, it'll change and auto do it for you. Same with the lighting. If it's actually darker in the room than it appears on the video, just because it adjusts for you in that respect. So it's a really nice camera. I know a lot of streamers use the headsets and things because the quality is probably better, but I can't stand those things, so I just leave it off. I just use the mic on the webcam. But yeah, I got into the streaming a few months ago, and I've kind of been addicted to it. I started out thinking, oh, I'll probably stream once a week, nothing super demanding, just keep it real casual. And like from the very first week, I was like streaming every day. And it's pretty much been that way for the entire time. There have been a few days that I haven't been able to get on for various reasons, but for the most part, it's been pretty regular. You can check my highlights or the archives that I have on YouTube, and you can see I've been pretty busy. I just constantly streaming stuff. I do them kind of short. I think the longest time I've been on is maybe about 3 hours or so. But I do try to keep it at least to an hour, because it seems kind of silly just hop on 15 minutes and hop back off. And like I said, I keep everything housing related, so if I don't have anything to build, then there's really nothing to stream. But usually I entertain myself doing goofy stuff like this. Who's going to use a bingo hall in WildStar? But hey, I'm building one, so it's not something you see every day, that's for sure. But it's just, I've figured out that I really like it, even though I don't really have too many people drop by. Once in a blue moon I get someone like you to come in, and I like that interaction, that I can immediately answer questions, or they can offer suggestions, and just kind of that interaction is really fun. And it's those chances of that kind of meetings and stuff that I thrive on, because it gets kind of silly to just be talking to myself all the time. Yeah, it's kind of, it's not, I know a lot of people talk about, well, you can stream and you can make millions of dollars or thousands of dollars and everything if you have sponsors and stuff like that. For anyone that's looking into getting in, don't start off thinking that. Just have fun with it. If you have fun with it and you like doing it, that's the reason to do it, not for any kind of monetary rewards. I know there's a lot of people that have like donation things set up so that, well, if you donate to my channel, then I'll be able to upgrade my equipment. And really, unless I actually know the person in real life, I would never send donations like that, because from my own experience, you don't have to have the top equipment to be able to stream decent kind of material. So, but yeah, just drop me a note with your, let me see if I can, what is that, Grifter? Okay, I'll write that down and check it out so that I have it on hand. Oops, I think I misspelled that. But there are those that have they're able to set it up so that they can split the screen and like have multiple players playing the same game. You can see every camera view for them, or they have like yeah. They have it where you can actually hear their guildmates on vent and stuff like that. You'll never really, I don't think I ever get that with me, because like I said, I kind of just keep it to just my housing antics. And our guild's kind of casual. They don't want that pressure of being on camera, I think. I think it would stress them out if they knew they were being filmed and had to be on their best behavior and stuff. Because there are some that kind of cut loose a little bit. And I don't want to disrupt that by saying, hey, I'm streaming you guys. And then they go, you know. So it's just me doing this stuff. And, you know, if that's what interests people, then, you know, I'm delighted to have them join in. It's like I have a few regulars that come, and on Wednesdays when we do the house tours, they hop in game with me and they follow along, and they make fun of me when I can't jump something, or they point out things that I might miss, that kind of thing. Yeah, I play with my guildmates too, but when it's the housing stuff, it's more kind of a personal thing, unless we're doing actual events, which we do at times. But again, I don't stream those because it's one of those things where I don't want to intrude on their privacy. It's like yesterday, someone asked me to remove my webcam picture down here, and I said, while my picture might be offensive to some, it's actually there for a purpose. It covers the chat box, because when I'm streaming, I don't want to just ignore those that are in my guild or that happen to be around that whisper me or something. I still want to interact with them. So I cover that little part up to maintain their privacy. If they're talking about something personal in the guild chat, I don't want them feeling like I've abused their privacy by having it showing on the stream. So while my ugly mug might not be the best, it does serve a purpose there. Okay, that would have to be, first you would have to be on Jabbit Realm. If you're on Jabbit Realm, if you're wanting to visit this bingo hall, you would have to go to my alt, which is Celery Greenleaf. She's on Exile side. If you want to visit my mains home, that would be Carrot Greenleaf. And the name for that, both of those names are right there on my channel page. I have it on the About Me section. Same way if you want to visit the Dominion side, I've got the name there as well. All of my houses are open to the public, so anybody can come visit. You don't have to be a neighbor or anything like that. I don't like forcing people into neighboring just to visit. So, but yeah, yeah, you too, Grifter. I appreciate you dropping by, and hope the streaming goes really well for you. And maybe we'll see some of your own projects for housing if you get into it. And good luck. If you're asking for anything more specific about how to visit, I don't know how new you are to it, but when you know the person's name, for instance, Celery Greenleaf, and they're not a neighbor, you just open up the visitor tool, which is these little peoples here, and it pulls up the randomized public homes that are listed. And if you know the person's name, you just type it in. Like for instance, if I wanted to go to my guildmates, I would type in the name, and you just type in the name and then hit visit, and it takes you to that property. The only requirement is that their home must be public. If it's a private home or set to roommates or neighbors only, then you won't be able to use that tool for that. You would actually have to be a neighbor of theirs. But like I said, all of my plots are open to the public, so I used to keep them closed while I was building on them. That was before I started streaming, but once I started streaming, it was like it didn't make sense to be too secretive about it, because it's not like I have any trade secrets that, you know, I absolutely don't want nobody to know about. It's just made more sense to let people watch me build as I build. That way they can ask questions, you know, why are you doing it this way? Or they can see the items that I'm actually using, because, you know, when you come into a house and it's already put together, sometimes you really can't figure out how they put it together. It's a little misleading or confusing, and it's helpful when you see it all from the ground up as it progresses. And that's why a lot of my footage is just me doodling around in the house, putting things together, and you can see the items I use. I talk about why I use them. Sometimes I discuss like how I go about choosing a new theme or what I'm thinking about, how much research I put into it. You know, I do a lot of Googling for images to help me kind of get an idea of how something looks if I'm not sure about it. Just kind of uses a base plan. It's like the house I did for one of my alts, Turnip. Instead of just starting with the walls and stuff, I started with a plan on the ground. I just used some 2x4s to lay out like a blueprint, and then I built it up from that, using that as a guide. And you know, you make adjustments with it, you know, especially with me, I don't use any kind of like specific measurements and things, but it's one method of doing it if you want to be a little bit more precise, sort of. Anyway, if no one else has any other questions, I think I'm going to wrap it up for today. I appreciate those that have dropped in, and I hope you guys can join again sometime. Again, I know my stream times are a little awkward for some. It's not at the opportune times. Maybe they're at work or they're asleep, or you know, who knows what. I archive everything. You can find my older videos in several places. Just check the links on the site. And I hope everyone has a good day. And I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.